Howie helps himself. Story by Joan Fassler. Pictures by Joe Lasker. Howie is a boy with brown eyes and brown hair and a soft, warm smile. Howie likes to watch the snow fall. He likes to eat chocolate ice cream. He likes to ride in the car with his daddy. But there are many things that Howie cannot do at all. Howie's legs are weak, so he cannot run or skip or jump. He cannot walk without something to hold on to, and even then he cannot go very far or very fast. He cannot ride a bike or climb a tree or chase a ball. Howie's hands are weak too. He cannot hold a pencil well enough to write his name. He cannot hold a cup steady enough to drink his milk, and he cannot build a tower or a castle with his wooden blocks, not even a very little tower or a very small castle. Howie lives in a big apartment building with his mother, his father, and his sister Linda. His mother helps Howie do many things he cannot do himself. Howie's father helps him too. Linda is great at playing games with Howie. Sometimes she puts a ball in Howie's lap and he pushes it back to her again until she gets tired or bored. Sometimes Linda and Howie plays picture dominoes, and sometimes Linda takes thick round crayons and draws things how Howie likes. Other times Linda is busy when Howie wants to play. "I can't play now," she says, "maybe later." Then Howie puts his head down and feels sad, or else he gets mad. He grumbles and scowls. Howie does not want to wait for later. When he wants to do something, he wants it now. On weekends, Howie's grandfather takes him to the park. Howie likes to play ball with his grandmother too. He pushes the ball out of his lap, and his grandmother tries to catch it. Sometimes she misses. Then Howie's grandmother has to chase after the ball. Howie laughs and laughs. He thinks it's so funny to see his little grandmother running down a hill as fast as she can after a big red ball. Every weekday morning at 9 o'clock, Howie goes to school. He rides in a special bus and goes to a special class. Howie's bus has an elevator that lifts him in his wheelchair just a little bit up from the ground. Then Howie can be wheeled right inside the bus. Howie likes to ride up in the elevator. He smiles. Most days, Howie likes school. He likes the other children. He likes his teachers. He likes to keep busy and learn new things. And Howie does learn many things at school. There's a lot for him to learn. He learns songs and games. He learns to read letters of the alphabet. He learns to count with colored beads and wooden blocks. He learns to pronounce sounds and words. And every day, Howie does the same exercises to help his arms and legs grow stronger. Howie works hard at school. He practiced some things over and over until finally he knew how to do them. But there was this one special thing Howie wanted to do the most. It was his own special wish. More than anything else, Howie wanted to zoom around in his wheelchair without any help at all. He wanted to move in his wheelchair all by himself. Susan and Jeffrey could already do that, but not Howie. He just couldn't. For days and days, Howie had tried to move his wheelchair. He tried very hard, but somehow he could not make the wheels turn. His teachers helped him. "Push the wheels this way," they said. They showed him over and over. Still, Howie couldn't do it, not even a little bit. "It's not easy," one of his teachers said, "but soon you will learn how. Just keep practicing. Put your 2 hands on a wheel and try to turn them a little at a time. Don't give up." And Howie did practice. He did not give up. Not really. Sometimes he almost gave up. Not all school days were good for Howie. Some days Howie didn't just feel right. Some days he felt especially tired or angry or clumsy. And some days he felt like crying. And he did, quietly to himself. Nothing would cheer him up. Sometimes when the day was over, Howie's daddy came to take him home from school. One day, Howie had been feeling especially good. He had been busy that day, so busy that he did not know it was time to go home. Howie looked from his work. He saw his daddy standing in the doorway. Howie smiled. Suddenly, Howie's face became serious. He had a plan. Howie took a deep breath. He lifted one hand very slowly and placed it on one wheel of his wheelchair. He lifted his other hand very slowly and placed it on the other wheel of his wheelchair. Then Howie moved one hand with a quick movement. just as his teachers had showed him. He didn't stop. He kept right on moving one hand until, little by little, Howie turned his wheelchair all around by himself. Now he was facing his daddy, and that's exactly what Howie wanted. For a moment, Howie looked straight at his daddy, then looked down at his wheelchair wheels. Very quietly, very seriously, Howie began to push hard on those two big wheels. Slowly, the wheels began to turn. Howie pushed as hard as he possibly could. He pushed so hard, small drops of sweat ran down his forehead. He pushed so hard, his fingers became white from all the effort. Howie pushed and pushed until he thought he couldn't push those two big wheels anymore. He was too tired. Then Howie looked up. Found he had pushed himself right up to his daddy. That made Howie so happy. His face became one great big smile. Howie stretched up his arms so high that they would go until they went around his daddy's neck. And he hugged his daddy just as tightly as he possibly could. And do you know something? When a boy hugs his daddy, it doesn't really make any difference of how weak or strong the boy's arms are. It's how the boy felt deep inside himself that really counts, and how his daddy feels too. And at that moment, Howie and his daddy both felt very good inside. Then Howie's daddy wheeled Howie's wheelchair out of the school and right into his car. When he reached the car, he tipped the wheelchair back a little. He wheeled it up into a small ramp and inside the car. Howie's daddy snapped each wheel tightly into place so that Howie would have a safe ride. Then Howie's daddy stopped for a moment. He bent down and brushed some hair out of Howie's eyes, and he kissed Howie very gently on the forehead. And Howie and his daddy drove home.